Ankalaev would just try and put Yuri against a cage until he eventually gets slept. I think Yuri would beat Ankalaev, man. I do. I didn't like that Ankalaev got hurt once and curled up in a ball on the ground and quit. I know he had a bad rib, yeah, but everyone's injured going into fights. I know he had an injured rib, but chat, let's put it straight, yeah. He got hit once and he curled up in a ball on the ground. O'Malley got rocked by Yan and he fought back like a savage in hindsight, right? Really put that into perspective, chat. O'Malley got hit by Yan clean across the jaw, span his head round, wobbled him bad, hurt him bad. And he fought on and still duked it out with Yan. Ankalaev got clipped once, wobbled a bit at the legs, and just laid on the ground and quit to a TKO to ground and pound. Didn't try and get up, didn't try and move, shot in, accepted bottom position, and quit. Just consider what people say about O'Malley, what the Dagestani fans say about O'Malley being a bitch and a pussy. Crazy, innit? I know Alex and Yan are different, but what happens when you get hurt by a punch is not different. Wobbled is wobbled. Simple as that. And there's perspective to it, you know? Crazy. Good to see you, bro. Wiener poop. People forget, man. You've been saying wiener poop in chat for a while, dude. I appreciate it, man. Pretty sure after watching Danis' interview with DJ, Misfits is trying to make Danis versus Tyrone Woodley. What do you think about that fight? Bro, I thought Danis was a... Listen, I think Danis is pretty cool. He's funny, like he sells fights. But I thought he was a star, bro. That DJ interview flopped. It has like 50k views. That's DJ's channel. That's literally destroyed DJ's algorithm by him doing the Danis interview. He'll get some viral clips out of it, but man... I thought that'd get more views. But yeah, anyway. You know what I'm saying? I thought you were relevant, Dillon Danis. What's going on, lad? What's this head lay? But yeah, him versus Woodley, it's risky. I could see him beating Woodley. Woodley could chin him though, but Woodley is notorious for shitting the bed on big moments. Especially after some trash talk. Impression of Dagestani brawl going to split decision. Wish you were there to check Danis on his BS of how much money he makes in a DJ interview. He probably makes some decent money at Misfits, but he don't make more than DJ. DJ made more in his Cejudo rematch than anything Danis has made his entire career from fighting. I know that. That's 100% true. So, yeah. He doesn't make that much money. But, you know, he somehow is rich. So he definitely gets paid for things. He probably gets paid for, like, seminars, appearances, tweets. He's probably got sponsors. So I'd imagine Danis does have a lot of money. But he didn't make more in that one Misfits fight than DJ's whole career. Like, that's just not true at all. No, I'm not making a video of the Raja sentence. I already made one. Mohamed Usman elevated testosterone levels, so fights off. Wow, dude. The guy with a corrupt pharmacist family tested positive for elevated test? That's crazy, dude. Whoa. No chance. I don't believe that, dude. Literally a family of corrupt pharmacists and they tested positive. Dude, Usman would never. Kamaru Usman would never also be on something. Come on. Even though he followed a HRT clinic. So, yeah. Impression of Chandler jamming out to Tom McDonald. I don't even know what Tom McDonald's songs are. You know what I mean? I've heard his songs before. And I've just thought it's so cringe. I've blocked it out of my head forever. But he would definitely jam out to Tom McDonald. But I don't know any of the lyrics of his songs. Send Dank to the tire shop 2 to 3 years and forget. Put him alcoholic until 21 and pick it up as a hobby and forget. Even though Ankalaev started at 2 years old. That's actually crazy. Ankalaev started at 2 years old. He couldn't take him down. Once. Hasn't been able to take him down once out of 12 attempts. Pereira literally picked up grappling how long ago? Think about that, chat. Let's really talk about who's built for this. Who's born ready. Who's born for this game. Ankalaev, 0 for 13 on takedowns. Started grappling at 2 or 3 years of age. Alex Pereira probably did about, 7 years? 5 years ago he started grappling properly. Couldn't take him down once. Who's really built for this game, dude? I mean, come on here. What are we talking about here, buddy? Who's got the toughest name in MMA right now? JDM. Nobody even needs to say. But it's JDM because if you think his name's Jack Della Maddalena, you're wrong. That is a bad one. But JDM has the greatest name in MMA because his name is Don Giacomo Della Maddalena. You need to understand his name is Don Giacomo Della Maddalena. Okay? The Don himself. That's a sick... I don't know why he calls himself Jack. Don Giacomo Della Maddalena. Come on, man. The Don. Weed definitely makes me lazy. Haven't beat my girlfriend since I started. At table tennis? Thank you for the 5. Hang on a minute there. Thank you for the 10 months. Just another reminder, chat, by the way, because of that girlfriend joke, that Dana White cut Matt Riddle from the UFC for making a beat up on a girlfriend joke. Matt Riddle. Yeah, sorry, not Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle got cut from the UFC, and Dana said he'd never fight for the promotion ever again because he made a joke about when I like smoking weed because it makes me not beat up my girlfriend or something. And he got cut forever. And then John Jones, completely different situation. So, very interesting difference there. Very interesting difference. And then, of course, the glazier of John Jones, Mr. Dana White, slapped his own wife. Interesting how quickly. There must have been another reason that they didn't like Matt Riddle, and they just used that as the moral excuse to get rid of him. Hang on a minute. Because Dana still goes on about you can say whatever you want in the UFC. Bryce Mitchell's in the UFC. But Matt Riddle can't make that joke. That's insane. Thank you for the 10 months, Logan Drill. What are some of the first fights you remember watching and thoughts on them now? Anthony Pettis versus Benson Henderson, and I was disappointed. I don't know if anyone else saw the highlight of Pettis hitting Benson with that kick and thought, oh my God, what a knockout. And then I realized it wasn't a knockout and the overall fight was very shit. So that was one of them. Weirdly, I remember early Mike Perry. Was anyone else a massive Mike Perry enjoyer? There's obviously times before this where I was watching some of the fights, like Pettis body kick. I liked a lot of Pettis fights back in the day. He was one of my favorite fighters when I first got started. Watching the UFC was Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone. So all of those types of fights. But I really enjoyed early days Mike Perry fights. Mike Perry versus Danny Roberts is a sick fight, man. Mike Perry versus Stun Gun, and in front of Mike Tyson, he knocks out Stun Gun, whatever his name is. Ponzi did ruin his hype, he did, yeah. He should never have taken that fight. But then so did Alan Jouban steal a lot of his hype. He beat him as well. Jake Ellenberger KO from Perry. He was awesome, man. He beat Luke Hay as well. I remember ordering the UK Royal Navy to go and bomb Uruguay for... These is early days for Guru. I remember that shit from way back when Perry got robbed by Luke Hay. It was insane. Did you see the inbreds? I also remember JDS Miocic won. That was a sick fight that a lot of people don't consider a lot. JDS, Junior Dos Santos versus Stipe Miocic won. Is like an early niche fight memory that I have, which is like, what the fuck is this? This is a sick fight, man. Such a sick fight that was. I haven't seen it for a while, but that was pretty cool. Thank you for the 2. White House early prelim, Gastelum versus Gaziev. Catch weight at 400 pounds. What other super fights did you want on the White House card? Early prelim, Gastelum versus Gaziev. Catch weight at 400 pounds. What other super fights do you want on the White House card? Adesanya versus Baralho on the card. Not Gastelum Gaziev. That could be good, though. But that's, I would say, Pereira versus Aspinall. O'Malley versus someone. Cejudo. Or like a Sandhagen. Adesanya versus Baralho could be on the card. Ilia Topuria versus someone. Paddy Pimlet if Pimlet gets past Holloway or Holloway gets past Pimlet. We'll see what happens. More bizarre fighting styles. Yuri or DDP? Yuri. You know what's... If not for Yuri's hops randomly now and then it wouldn't be Yuri. But Yuri does the like a weird like hop out of nowhere. DDP does that sometimes, But Yuri does it so often. Like this random little... And it's not even like he throws so many flying knees. It has to be Yuri Prohaska. Who would win, Yuri or DDP? Yuri. I'd love to see Yuri versus Adesanya or something. You know what I mean? I want to see some fun matchups with Yuri. Unless they're going to do... If Allberg gets the title shot, I don't want to see Yuri just look down at the next contender like a fucking Bogdan Guskov or some shit. Maybe if it's Jan Blachowicz, I don't mind that matchup, but... I'd like to see Yuri actually get some of these, like, big fights. I think Yuri's like a super fight type of name at this point, right? Best way to ask the restaurant server for a number? Probably don't do that. I don't know. I feel like that's a wrong thing to do. To be honest with you. Just let them take the lead on that. I don't know. I don't like it when someone is nice to me as, like, a part of, like, a restaurant thing. And then if you ask them out, it's sort of like... discourages them from ever being nice to anyone else. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's pretty bad. I've made that mistake. But not for like a restaurant server or a waitress. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if they're nice to you and then you just ask them out, it might discourage them from being nice to anyone moving forward. So I don't know if you should do that. Thank you for the 2. Birthday party at the Guru compound. I'll bring tamales. Okay. Guru, I'm Persian, thus Eastern. Cyrus was the Chad of what are now the inbreds and Alexander of Europe. The Germans didn't come to the UK and mix to create Yal pre-Christ, so you didn't have a Chad then. Whatever, man. Thank you for the York. Now look at you. Canadian. What a fall off. Thank you for the 14 Canadian dollars. You want to fucking take shots at the UK? You're literally Canadian. 10 years away from being India part 2. Literally part 2 India, dude. Thank you for the... I'm joking, though. Thank you for the 14 Canadian dollars bonds go. We did have a Chad before the Germans came along. What you just... Hadrian? What you just... Buddha? What you talking about? You don't even know your history, you mad fool of a thing. William Wallace. Come on, me. Thank you for the 5. Your opinion on Alex versus Allberg. Does Allberg's style pose a problem with his counters, or does Alex eviscerate? I think he'd chew up his leg. Pereira's low kick game is very, very good. So I think he'd chew up his leg and then finish him. Thank you for the 5. I don't know. I just feel like Pereira walking you down is just a different type of intimidation factor than any other fighter walking you down at light heavyweight. So, you know, he can close the distance a lot more dangerously than Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz, in some ways, chat, yes or no, is a counter striker. You know, he goes off of what his opponent does. So for him to be able to take the front foot against Allberg and still get him and do close to beating him, that's very impressive to me. Jan picks at you and then finds his combos as the fight goes on. Whereas against, what's his name? He just charged. Not charged, but walked forward non-stop. Ish. Impression of no energy, Dana. Wait. Some guy said Ilya's grappling hasn't been proven. Thank you for the 2. I mean, it hasn't, but the fact that it hasn't means that it's pretty fucking good. And also, Ilia Topuria used to be a submission specialist. His whole career until he got his first KO in the UFC, bar a KO or 2 on the regional scene, was just Ilia Topuria taking down guys and subbing them immediately in fights. So that guy's never watched an Ilia fight pre-UFC. He was a submission artist. He was a wrestler and submission specialist. Nasty dash chokes, mounted triangles, all of that. If you watch back his early fights, bar a couple, he's always been a submission specialist. But yeah. That's why he tried to do that to Yusuf Zalal. He just constantly tried to put him in subs in his first UFC fight. Who wins, Rico Verhoeven or Poetam? You know what's crazy, yeah? Obviously in MMA, I'd go with Poetan, yeah. But in kickboxing chat, doesn't it just reek of a Rico gets knocked down and then batters Pereira in like round 7 or something? I'd love to see that, by the way. If Pereira ends his career and they want to do that at Glory for some massive paycheck, I'd love to see that. Rico doesn't beat him in MMA. Shut the fuck up. In MMA gloves, I think he puts his jaw off. But I can so see Pereira like dropping him in like 2 or 3 and then Rico popping back up and still finding his way back into the fight. Rico's just a classic at like taking a punch and bringing it back and destroying someone's inside leg, you know? So, yeah. What do you mean MMA's not shooting? Yeah, the gloves aren't different at all, are they, you retard? What will be your locks for picks tomorrow? I don't know. Thank you for the 2. I could bring up the card real quick, but I'm trying to catch up on donos. Locks for picks on the card. There's not many. There's not many locks off of the prelims. There aren't many locks. Vitor Petrino is a lock of the card. Beatrice Mesquita. Mesquita's a lock of the card. That's probably it. Simon Oliveira missed weight by 8 pounds, by the way. What a fucking joke. So, yeah. Everyone else is pretty who knows what's going to happen. But I would go with Oliveira. I've been watching back some Gamrot fights. I'm thinking, if this is him on full camp, Oliveira does get him on 2 weeks' notice. Someone was putting together a highlight video of all of his takedowns and saying Oliveira is not going to know how to deal with this. And his head's in a guillotine position against Fiziev over and over again. And he's not getting the takedown. I did see Wellmaker versus City. It's a good fight. It is a good fight. I didn't see when it was booked for, but I did see it booked. Someone told me earlier. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Wellmaker should beat him, but City's no joke, you know. It's a difficult fight. UFC 322. That's good. New York, November. Okay, that's good. I like it. As long as it's not on the main card or anything, I'm all right with that. Radke in the Apex. Say it again, Radke. Say it again now. Did you see DC's Cope take saying the 12-6 is bad?
Oh, chill. That was the first time I sat and I went, I don't know that I like 12-6 elbows. Those were nasty, bro. Brutal elbows from the top. Bam, bam. That was anger.
Chat, can I be honest with you? I sense from a lot of former UFC champions and legends of the UFC that they really don't like Pereira's success because it will overshadow theirs.
Now you can let heavyweight, because here's the problem with him saying no to those guys at heavyweight. It's a super fight, but what's it for? When you get those great names like him and Jones, you want it to be for something. So yes, 205-pound fight between him and John Jones would be amazing. And it gets rid of the idea that Jones is afraid of Tom Aspinall, right? Because now he's back at 205 where he's always been, and he's fighting the champion there. That makes all the sense in the world. But to have the two of the biggest stars in the UFC fighting at heavyweight, when the heavyweight title fight is being contested between two other guys, the champion and the #2 contender, it just doesn't make much sense. But to have those guys fight at 205, absolutely. I don't think the title of baddest man on the planet needs to be officially on the line as the heavyweight championship, because I believe a strong number of people in the world, or at least people that watch that are more casual fans, will believe that they're seeing the two baddest men on the planet because they're the two best well-known big men in the world. And that's what ultimately will sell.
To them not even act like they wanted him to compete at a heavyweight for the Undisputed and get the 3 belts. I really do get this vibe of some of these former fighters not wanting the current era champs to be considered better than them and to overtake the GOATs of their era or them in their era. The only one who doesn't really care about that is GSP, because he literally has said, you know, Usman's the greatest. You know, GSP will literally be so annoying to overpraise the people. But sometimes I get that vibe from DJ not wanting Pantoja to move up yet. Let's gamble it, you know? If he beats Van and Marab beats his next opponent, let's run it, dude. We got to run these fights, you know? So we'll see. They all love Poatan. They do, but DC especially when he talks about him not having, don't move him up. He shouldn't move up. You know what I mean? He shouldn't move up and fight a heavyweight. That's crazy. They all like brush off that idea because they know that if he gets 3 belts, it's over for their legacy. It would just be so above him. Usman was on a roll. He was on a crazy. Dana ended up slapping his girlfriend. True. Thoughts on DC and Chael trying to erase the memory of Tom? Even thought that guy beat both of them on roids. Yeah, I know. It's really, really weird how little they promote Tom. But it's almost like a counter promotion where it works in the end anyway. What's your diet like? Today I had a big bag of tangy cheese Doritos. I had Fridge Raiders in the morning. I had a chicken and bacon sandwich. My bin's there. There's something else in there that I ate, but I can't remember what it was. And then I had chicken and egg after my workout.